Hey guys, what's going on? James here, and in this video today, we're going to be talking about all the players that you guys need to keep an eye on for the Buccaneers Week 4 matchup versus the Chargers. So guys, let's talk about the first player worth mentioning, that being Donovan Smith. Now, I don't mean to put a microscope on Donovan Smith every single week. This will be my fourth week in a row talking about Donovan Smith on a consistent basis. It does get a little tiring after a while, but if I'm being honest, Donovan Smith has warranted this microscope being put on him, okay? Week 1 versus the Saints, he had a terrible game. Week 2 versus the Panthers, got a little bit better. I think that Donovan Smith overall had a pretty decent game versus the Panthers. Week 3 versus the Broncos, it seemed like things were going okay until that fourth quarter hit, and then Donovan Smith just collapsed on a couple of plays. So, what's going to happen versus the Chargers now? Well, I know that Melvin Ingram is out for this game, okay? That is a very clear thing that has been made clear to me, is that Melvin Ingram is going to be out for this game. But I'm very curious to see what the Chargers are going to do with Joey Bosa. Are they going to line Joey Bosa up against Tristan Wirfs, or are they going to line him up against Donovan Smith? You would think the automatic move is to line him up against the rookie because it's a rookie. Of course, Joey Bosa is one of the best pass rushers in the NFL, highly underrated in my opinion. Yes, of course, you would match him up against the rookie, but I'm not so sure about that. If I was the Chargers, I would honestly opt to match him up against Donovan Smith. I feel Tristan Wirfs has been better at blocking this year than Donovan Smith. Even as a rookie, I feel that Tristan Wirfs is having the better year so far up to this point when compared to Donovan Smith. So if the Chargers do line Joey Bosa up against Donovan Smith, that could be a lot of trouble. And I like Donovan Smith. He's a very nice guy, and I think he can be a good tackle. I've been saying this for years now. But I think that this would be a tough matchup for any offensive lineman to go up against. Joey Bosa seriously should not be underrated. The Bosa brothers are insane. It's a darn shame that Nick Bosa tore his ACL, but Joey Bosa is right up there as one of the best pass rushers in the entire league, right up there with Cameron Jordan. So if it's Tristan Wirfs, honestly, I've seen Tristan Wirfs go up against Cameron Jordan this year and hold his own. I wouldn't be too concerned with it. I mean, obviously, you'd have some level of concern, but I think Tristan Wirfs could handle it a little bit. Donovan Smith, at this point, I don't know. We're a month into the year, basically, a month into this season, and Donovan Smith really has been struggling. So if it is Joey Bosa versus Donovan Smith, I'm going to be concerned. If it's a backup defensive end pass rusher, whatever you want to call it, versus Donovan Smith, still keep an eye on this because, again, I don't mean to beat the guy up every single week, but he's been doing it to himself. He's had a pretty rough start to his season. But guys, the next player that we are going to be talking about is going to be Rob Gronkowski. Is he a blocking tight end? Is he not a blocking tight end? Well, he has been a pretty decent blocking tight end overall in the run game and in pass blocking, everything as well. He's been a decent blocking tight end. But last week, we finally saw him get going in the receiving game. He had 6 catches for, I believe, 46 yards, not a touchdown. He was wide open. Tom Brady overthrew him, unfortunately. But Rob Gronkowski, I think, is going to get going a little bit more in this game versus the Chargers. It took that game. It took that game versus the Broncos to really get warmed up, get that connection going again between Brady and Gronk. And I know Bruce Arians doesn't use tight ends, things like that. Well, it's Byron Leftwich running the show. And yes, Byron Leftwich is running a variant of a Bruce Arians type offense. But ultimately, if Tom Brady wants to throw to Rob Gronkowski, Tom Brady's going to throw to Rob Gronkowski. I mean, that's just the way it is. So I am going to be very interested to see what happens with Rob Gronkowski in this game. Are we going to see some continuity with his receiving game that he had versus the Broncos, or is he just going to revert back to his blocking type ways that he started off the first 2 weeks of the season? Pay attention to that, because I think if Gronk does start to get going, O.J. Howard gets going as well, that's going to be a pretty darn lethal part of this offense if Brady just decides, you know what, I'm going to throw it to my tight ends a bunch. So keep an eye on Gronkowski moving forward and see if he can continue his receiving abilities that he basically brought back in that Broncos game. The next player worth mentioning is going to be Vida Veya, defensive lineman, and I know that this guy is really flown under the radar. A lot of people haven't necessarily been talking about Vida Veya this much this season, but he is rated the 9th best interior defensive lineman per Pro Football Focus. So Vida Veya is just continuing to do Vida Veya things. He's been a force in the run game. He's even doing a little bit of pass rush as well. He has had 2 offside penalties so far this season, which did suck, but I am willing to forgive him because he's just an absolute wrecking ball of a human being. And yeah, I just wanted to show Vida Veya love here in this section, in this video, because I feel like I haven't been talking about Vida Veya enough, and I feel like other people have not been talking about Vida Veya enough either. So I'm giving Vida Veya his due here. He's a human wrecking ball of a person, and I think he's going to continue to do that versus the Chargers. The second to last player worth mentioning in this game is going to be Bradley Pinion, the punter. And I know it's like, whoa, James, Bradley Pinion, the punter. Yes, Bradley Pinion, the punter. He had a very good game versus the Broncos. 3 out of his 5 punts down to the Broncos inside their 20-yard line. And I think it really showcased what special teams can do for field position. Okay, it's not just a joke. Punters are people too, and they do matter in the game of football because the Broncos were working with very short fields, had very little to work with. One of it resulted in a safety. That was because of a Bradley Pinion punt, as well as Shaq Barrett being Shaq Barrett. So field position matters, darn it. You could argue that that's one of the reasons why we lost to the Saints, if not the biggest reason, was because Thomas Morstead, one of the best punters in the NFL, had a phenomenal game against the Buccaneers, and he was a wizard on kickoffs in that game as well. So overall, Bradley Pinion's had a very good start to his season. He's kicking all of his kickoffs for touchbacks. He's putting punts inside the 20-yard line. He had a great game versus the Broncos, and I look for that to continue versus the Chargers because we are trying to show out here at MrBucsNation that field position matters, punters matter, and special teams matter, darn it. I'm looking at the punters, the kickers, and the returners. Shout out Jadon Mickens. But guys, with that being said, let's get down to the last player worth mentioning, that being Jamel Dean. Now, I picked Jamel Dean specifically because I've already talked about Carlton Davis this week, and Sean Murphy-Bunting is possibly dealing with some type of injury. I don't know what his availability for this upcoming game is looking like. Some guys in the comments section are saying he might not play. Unsure. But I will say this, is that Jamel Dean is probably going to be matching up against Mike Williams a good amount in this game. If I had to guess, I would definitely say it's going to be Carlton Davis versus Keenan Allen and Jamel Dean versus Mike Williams. So I'm going to be very interested to see how that matchup goes. Mike Williams has been dealing with a nagging injury or two in his own right, so he's definitely not up to 100%, but you cannot underestimate Mike Williams, okay? Because when Keenan Allen's getting double teamed, Mike Williams is out there making circus athlete level catches, and it's absolutely insane to see. He has had some crazy catches so far up to this point this year, and I think he could continue it if you don't try to keep him in check and you just think of him as an afterthought. So I think Jamel Dean will be very busy in this upcoming game versus the Chargers, going up against Mike Williams, and Carlton Davis versus Keenan Allen is just going to be an absolute treat to watch. But guys, that's going to be it for this video. Let me know what you thought about all of this down in the comment section below. What players are you guys going to be keeping an eye on for this game versus the Chargers? I actually cut my outro out, guys. I originally had those 5 players ending with Jamel Dean, but I wanted to mention one more guy before we go ahead and end off this video, I guess I should say, that being Mike Evans. Now, a lot of people have been semi-critical of Mike Evans through the first 3 weeks of the season, and yeah, fair credit, Mike Evans has had 2 games now where he has only had 2 receiving yards. That's not good. And in the first game versus the Saints, yes, he had a pretty darn bad hamstring injury that was hampering him. He still caught a touchdown pass, but understandable, he still was locked down versus Marshawn Lattimore in that game. Versus the Broncos, yes, he did only have 2 receiving yards, but hey, he still had 2 receiving touchdowns. So far up to this year, Mike Evans has 4 receiving touchdowns in 3 games. That's not bad. The bad part is the yardage. He has 108 yards in 3 games. Right now, he is nowhere near on pace to finish this season with 1,000 yards. I still think it can definitely happen, especially with Mike Evans and the weird, crazy voodoo stuff he's done to just get insane amounts of receiving yards late in the year to hit that 1,000-yard mark. With Tom Brady as his quarterback, yes, I think it is 100% possible. I think that right now, him being used as a red zone weapon, as long as he's scoring touchdowns, all good with me. I mean, if he doesn't get the NFL record for most consecutive 1,000-yard receiving seasons in NFL history, if he has to stay tied with Randy Moss, okay, I mean, oh well. Maybe Michael Thomas will break that record somewhere down the line, but I'm not really worried about that. If we're winning games and Mike Evans is catching touchdowns, it is what it is. I would like to see him have that record, but I'm not going to be torn up as long as the man's scoring touchdowns. The reason I have him here, though, is because a lot of people pointed out to me in the comment section of the last video that Chris Harris Jr. is going to be out for this game. I love making videos before injury news comes out revolving around the Buccaneers next game, and then I have to go ahead and make corrections in the next video. It's absolutely amazing, but the point is that it's going to be Mike Evans going up against probably Casey Hayward Jr. and then whoever the other wide receiver is going to be on the other side, because right now it seems like Chris Godwin's not going to be playing in this game. Scotty Miller's dealing with an injury, so whoever is going to be on that other side, maybe it's Justin Watson, he's also dealing with an injury as well, is probably going to be going up against Desmond King, who again is a very darn good cornerback, in my opinion, one of the upper half cornerbacks in the entire NFL. So the point still stands from the last video is that this is going to be a matchup worth watching, but with Chris Harris Jr. out now, it's going to be even more interesting to see what Mike Evans can do. Okay, Derwin James has suffered an injury. That's going to be huge in terms of double teams and coverages on Mike Evans and whoever else is going to be out there. So I'm going to be very curious to see how Mike Evans does. He's getting touchdowns and the Buccaneers are scoring points. So yeah, his yardage marks aren't there. That sucks for fantasy football owners. Oh well, he's scoring points. He has 4 touchdowns in 3 games. I'm not necessarily complaining that much. And maybe he still is hampered by that hamstring injury. The yards would be nice, but I'm always taking touchdowns. I'm always taking points. So anyway, guys, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and end off this video. Let me know what you thought about all of this down in the comment section below, and I will see you guys in the next video or the next live stream, and let me know what players you guys are looking out for in this game versus the Chargers. But guys, again, thanks so much for watching. Hope y'all enjoyed, but until the next video or the next live stream, goodbye for now, guys, and go Bucs.